Hello there. I'm Ed Belina.
Hey, how are you, buddies? Alvaro Cuba here.
Good to see you again, Alvaro. Another run at the podcast episodes. And as you know, I was on vacation last week up in Maine, and I had a great time fishing, Bar
I
Harbor,
saw the
etc.
picture, mi amigo.
What a great time! But I have
Awesome.
to point out, I am wearing a special shirt today. Okay, so this is double meaning,
Thank you
because you
very
all know
much.
that I am Cuban and very proud of my heritage, but I'm also celebrating my buddy Alvaro Cuba. So it's a
Yes.
double header. And the last piece that I'll close with is I took some fly fishing lessons. I had never done that before. And I happened to meet a gentleman up there who is part of an amazing organization that goes by the name of Healing Waters. And it is an organization that is formed by fly fishermen to help veterans with PTSD. And I tell you
Wow.
what, just really, I mean, I can't wait to get involved with them. Unfortunately, I still hook my shirt, so I'm not ready. But if you get a chance, watch the movie Mend the Line. It's on Netflix. My wife turned me on to it, and it is about an African American vet suffering from PTSD and how learning how to fly fish just helped him with his recovery and his therapy. And no plugs here. I'm not getting paid by Netflix, but what an amazing movie, and it really has inspired me. So, Healing Waters, just an amazing organization. So, I'm gonna a little bit different. I'm gonna pass with that.
I'll watch the movie. And, amigo, you have to take me in your next fishing trip, please.
Oh, absolutely.
On my side, I came back from Europe. It was a very nice trip. Always the experience in food and nature in Europe is outstanding. So I had all that, and I spent the weekend checking the Olympics. It's so amazing. Besides the sport and inauguration and all the fuss about it, but more close to our hearts is all the innovation and the sustainability. No, I was reading seeing the short in the aquatic center made of timber completely.
Wow.
The entire roof is solar panels, so it's 100% self sustainable, and it can regulate the amount of people depending on the sport. So fascinating stuff on technology and tied to sustainability. That I don't know if you heard, but all the beds of the athletes are cardboard.
Oh,
And details like that, hundreds. So very interesting.
what a great opportunity, right? Once every 4 years to explore new technology, and let's face it, those multi-billion-dollar investments now become part of the infrastructure for the whole city.
Yeah.
It becomes just a great new venue. So that's got to be so exciting. I'm thrilled that. I hope one year I get to attend the Olympics. I actually have a next door neighbor who is on the AAU Junior Olympic team for field hockey. She's one of the best in the U.S. And I told her, I said, if you make it to the Olympic Games in 4 years, I will be there to watch it. I don't care what that ticket costs. So great.
I want to do the same, but with soccer World Cup. So
incredible experience. So, friends, welcome to the Manufacturing Meetup Podcast, the show where we kick back, have a few beverages, coffee or beer, depending on your taste, or any other beverage. But it's where we kick back in our downtime and we get real about the shop floor and what goes on in our facilities. So, join us.
great. So, guys, as we always do, a couple news to start the podcast. On my side, we were talking about the Olympics. So I was the news that called my attention is Olympics venues using digital twins. So I went and checked, and yeah, they have recreated for every venue a identical 3D digital twin, and they have used it for things, incredible things. The broadcasters can, by watching in their screen, they can know exactly what position the camera should be, what they will be filming, and then they pass the time, and then the sun, the effect of the weather and the sun and how the shadows move, they can plan everything in the computer even before going and putting the cameras in the venue. One of the climbers, the rock climbers, inside wall climber, he was watching an exact reproduction of the wall that he has to climb, and he was getting mentally ready, even practicing at home, watching the computer. And if you happen to go to one of the venues, you can check what is your seat, what are you going to be seeing, if you are going to be receiving sun or no. So amazing technology, and all done with drones and robots in robotics. So what I was reflecting is, imagine if now we translate that technology into a production line. And then we can see the line, how it's going to work. We can check the security things. We can interact virtually. We can check process changes. We can check set points. No, we can train the people in that line even before getting into the actual line. And it can be clearly a game changer. And the last reflection on this is all that with what we have been talking in the previous episodes, which is the new generation. That new generation is fascinated with the computers, the digital twins, and all that. So they will feel like in their home and in their environment doing these fun things and having their line in digital twins. So I cannot wait to see that becoming mainstream in the manufacturing plants. I'm sure you will all enjoy that in the very near future. What do you think about this, Ed?
Well, two thoughts that came to mind. First of all, that's amazing. I can just imagine, being able to play right on a simulation, making changes to center lines. It brings to mind when I was graduating from college many, many moons ago. I actually got to play with a simulation of a small distillation plant. I blew it up, but you could actually. It was the neatest.
So you're not the only one.
The neatest thing ever. I saw like these line drawings on a screen of a pump and a pressure gauge, and and I was like, oh, we need more product. And that was many, many moons ago. Fast forward to, I bought an Oculus Quest, a virtual reality set. To be honest, I think I've used it once. It's mostly for my grandson to come over, and he uses it playing the games, right? I'm not beyond that. But I've used it a couple of times. Oh my goodness, the reality, right? You literally think you're going to trip over things. So it's exciting news, and it appeals to the new workforce, right? It makes training so much easier. Understanding and engagement.
Engagement.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all about drudgery, folks.
Yeah.
Come on. Hey, Alvaro, you have to admit, you're not beyond playing a video game, are you? I mean, come on now.
I'm starting. Come on.
Oh, that is awesome. So there's so much potential there. I'm excited to actually play with some of this stuff.
And it will bring swagger to manufacturing with the new hires and the new generations. What about you, Ed? What news you have?
Well, one piece that I wanted to focus on was reading over Augury's production health survey for 2024, and I've been watching these for the last couple of years, and pretty interesting changes. I'll start off with the subject. Right, it was about 700 supply chain leaders of $100 million per year plus revenue companies. So a pretty wide swath, and really what I would say statistically significant number of people. And the report runs about 16 pages. It is an easy read, folks. I would encourage you to, go on Augury's website and download it. You'll breeze through it. A lot of graphics, but I took away a number of key points. First, what do these leaders believe are their challenges? And at the top of the list, it's cost management, specifically with materials and energy. We have all seen the increase in raw material prices, right? Energy prices are starting to cool. I got diesel for $3.89 a gallon the other day. I was like, wow, that's pretty decent. And the second challenge is capacity. It seems like we don't have enough capacity out there. So interestingly enough, though, when they asked the respondents, how well set are you to tackle this? Do you have enough capability in your organization? Like 60+% of them say, "Oh yeah, we're good, right? We're good to go." But yet they tell you that their issues are they don't have enough capacity. So I think we're all guilty of this. We think our organization is always better than average, right? The truth is most of us are average. That's how an average works. But anyway, not to be facetious, right? You have to have some that are worse than average and some that are above average for an average. But
yeah. Statistical analysis.
It doesn't take a stat degree to figure that one out, folks. But they understand that they're really starting to value the impact of AI, right? They mentioned, hey, AI is going to create new jobs. AI is going to lead to better decisions because the analytics are better, right? And less downtime. They specifically called out AI's impact on scheduled downtime, right? Which means more output, and because of that, also better quality, right? They cited a couple of barriers, cybersecurity being one. Which, listen, with everything you hear that goes on, look what just happened, to the airline industry. Just to name one, right? With the Microsoft issue, and second though is resistance to AI. So every once in a while you hear a story where they paint AI as a careful, it's going to take over. It's going to decide that human beings are really not good. We're like the plague on the planet, but I think we can manage that. But clearly, their objective, in AI, is to drive up capacity in a big sense, and that's why 85% of the respondents said we expect to increase our input in AI. So, Alvaro, give me your take on those.
I was reading. I was checking. We are in the stock exchange is in the given results, the quarterly results. No, so most of the companies and food and beverage has been this week and will continue. Two trends that start to appear. One is, and you said it, cost. No, it's always a challenge. And the second one, the demand is going down in some SKUs and going up in others. No, it's kind of the demand is shifting. And supply chain needs to be ready for both. Needs to be ready to react on volume and needs to be ready to react on cost. And actually, better if we don't react, but if we plan in advance. And it's exactly what these leaders are saying in the survey. No, so those are our key challenges. Sometimes we don't trust so much AI, or we are still a little bit concerned about how to deal with it. But more and more people are saying, "Oh, I am going after it." Even my fears, I'm going after it, and it's what they are saying. I can tell you that leaders that are one step ahead on this are reaping the benefits. So go for it. It has seen significant examples, me too, and I think it's starting to be proven technology uh, running into mainstream. So go for it, guys.
Agreed. Just the one warning I saw in an article, I always try to give the contrarian view. There's a number of companies that are walking away from AI because it's a tremendous amount of work and it's not reaping benefits. Because truthfully, I believe that way too many companies embrace the AI without having real. Put it this way: they were selling vaporware, right? And so be choosy, be careful who you partner with for this journey because your mileage may vary.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Technology is there and the benefit is there. We need to be careful. You need to be careful on who you choose, how you go, in what order, or in all those things. But it's really encouraging to have the technology available these days.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's jump into the main topic today. Ready, my friend?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, as you know, guys, we have been talking in the last 3 episodes about operational excellence. We have done a little bit of an umbrella about it, what it is, what we do, um, pitfalls, success stories. And then we dive into three of the pillars, critical pillars: safety, quality, and people. And those are the base, no? That and compliance. Ed said it in the last episode, are the base and should be first, and you shouldn't move from there until you have those really under control. But then there are the next two pillars, and we are going to close the series with these two pillars: are AM/PM, so all the maintenance part and the new ways of maintenance. And the second one is focus improvement, continuous improvement. So let's start with AM/PM. Ed, what are you seeing on that? What's your take as a pillar and a component of the operational excellence?
So Alvaro, big part. The thing about these pillars, folks, is they're all almost equally important. And you can build a strong roof with pillars of different length, right? That's not how the Greeks built the Pantheon. Were they the Romans or the Greeks? Sometimes I get confused, but I think you all get
probably both.
probably both.
It applies
The
to everyone.
Parthenon, the Parthenon. But in its simplest, in the simplest terms, right? It is about making the maintenance and state of the equipment everybody's job. So autonomous maintenance is taking the traditional maintenance work and expanding it to operators, to QC, and even to management. So you may see set up an AM event or autonomous maintenance event on, let's say, a labeler on a bottling line. And it essentially means you have a work list, which includes a lot of deep cleaning, right? So areas where you've got grease buildup, contaminant buildup, you're in there arms deep in grease cleaning it, which enables you then to find defects, things that were covered by the dust or the cardboard. And you learn about the equipment, and you may wind up finding loose bolts or missing bolts. It's an opportunity to do CIL, right? Clean, inspect, lubricate. And to me, the real big win here is when you have everybody involved. I have a shout out to a guy that worked for me as a plant director in the Philadelphia plant. His name is Todd Kelly, and he's currently also a plant director in Gatorade. And I watched him arms deep in a Seidel labeler, covered in grease and dust and hot glue. Cool, of course. Everything was very safe, and to me, that's the epitome of leadership, right? When you have somebody that is, willing to stop all the work that I'm sure Kelly had worked, Todd had waiting for him in the office to go in and be a role model. This is what you do, and the operators were in there with them, and so were the mechanics, and having that autonomous maintenance approach really drives a lot of capabilities. But it also changes the game for maintenance in predictive. So Alvaro, how about the predictive side of this?
Well, first, I've been in those events, several of them, and it's part of TPM. It's part of operational excellence. No, everything
Right.
starts once you have the base of your Parthenon, no, which is people, training, and culture. And then you go to the first pillar and you stop the line and everyone goes in and everyone chips in, management and operators, mechanics, everyone. And you put the line apart, put it back again, as you say, arms deep in grease and in dust and all that. But we all learn from the machine and then the journey starts. No, and as I said, was saying before, remember, the mechanics were running all around because everyone was calling, hey, lubrication here. Hey, I hear this small noise here. Hey, I have this small detail. And they were all around the plant and they were not focused on the really important stuff of maintenance. So the big change with autonomous maintenance was to put all that in the hands of the operator that is in the line all the time and can fix the small things, can check the small things. And that means that in a PM site, you can have the mechanics now focus on the work that is going to come, on planning, on doing it the right way. And at the same time, they start to evolve. They were reactive. Now they have the time to start being predictive. Then they go even to the next stage. And these days with AI, you can even go just in time repair, no? Because the sensors, artificial intelligence is going to tell the mechanics when the machine is going to fail, why the machine is going to fail, and most probably what elements. So you can order the parts just in time. You can plan for the most convenient moment in the line. Then you can even use the models to plan and to practice about it, and then go and do the work right away. So I think it has helped a lot on roles and responsibilities and allow both sides to focus and both sides now to work together.
To me, two big takeaways, or two big topics that you drive. One is you're letting people know that cleaning is everybody's job. When I first started in industry, in some locations there were still cleaners, people whose job was to clean the line. And I'm not talking about night sanitation. I'm talking about on an ongoing basis. I was in a bottling plant outside of the U.S. where they literally had, the place was spotless, right? They literally had a cleaning person associated to every operator on the line. I'm walking through this. I'm like, wow, this is impressive. And then I realized they had essentially 4 operators on the line and 4 cleaning people. So the operators never had really a lot of ownership for cleaning. It was like, yeah, that's somebody else's job. And item number 2, or the other things that it drives, how many times have mechanics walked up, getting a call from a line, the line's down, they walk out, and the first thing they have to do is spend half an hour cleaning the area because it is covered in whatever product you happen to be making. So there's enough opportunities for either side, right? There's the operator who'll tell me, I call the maintenance guy over and he just kind of grunts at me, kicks the machine and says, well, you don't know how to run this, right? So, but many operators, right?
And you don't know how to fix it. The eternal,
no,
the eternal fight.
That's why this stuff is so important, folks, right? We're all in this together. And you know what? The functional wars never help anybody. We all figure out how to lose individually. How about let's win together? I think is a is a better way of going around it. It drives better understanding of the equipment too. When you're in there
And
and you have your hands in the equipment and you can see how things work, it's like, I'm a picture guy. Yeah, I can learn from books, but show it to me. I get it, right?
it also shares responsibility. Now
Hmm.
everyone is responsible of the maintenance. No,
Right.
also allows everyone to focus on the areas that they do better, and it has a lot of benefits also on the engagement part. No, because
Hmm.
now I'm the owner. Now I not only need to see the product running, I can be responsible for things. I need to learn new things. I can even teach those things. So it's very good. And once you get that, the benefits we talk about, imagine the benefit of a line that stops every 10 minutes and goes to stop every 4 hours, which is normally the goal of a TPM effort. Imagine that every stop of the line is more time of the operators, is a safety problems. Every restart is quality and waste and reprocess and all that. So if you don't need to touch the line in 4 hours, imagine the benefits in uptime, in cost, in cash, in everything. So critical pillar for sure.
There is. Every time you start up a blow molder, you throw away as many as 180, 200 preforms that are going through the oven because you
Mhm.
haven't reached temperature time, right? So, yeah, no, it's a huge opportunity. So, and now I think you're going to segue us into FI, and it's not Fashion Institute of America. It's
Yes. Well, close, close.
close.
Now, this is FI with focus improvement, continuous improvement. And the two first thoughts is one is the mentality of the never ending game, never ending journey. So, what you have done today, it's done. So, you don't want to stop there. You have to continue to the next level. No, have you guys heard your boss telling, "Hey, this last year you gave your productivity, so this year you don't have to give productivity"? Well, in my 35 years, I never heard
Never,
that.
never.
Everything that happened is the past. I don't remember. So now your 4% productivity again and again and again. And that's continuous improvement, no? Because once you have the base, which is all that we have been talking in the previous pillars, then it comes the continuous improvement journey. And for everyone. What's your experience on continuous improvement, Ed?
Well, it keeps you sharp, keeps you on your toes. Because you're right. What you did for the business last year was last year, and I think I used the term before that I learned from a GM. There's nothing as silent as yesterday's applause. That is the truth, right? It rings
Yes.
every single year. Now, every once in a while, you happen to get into a role where you see a lot of opportunity, a lot of improvement, right? And I know of some supply chain leaders that will meter that in. If they can get 6 or 7%, they'll be like, for this year, and then that gives me another three for the following year. So I got a plan in place, right? Fortunately, sometimes people like that get found out and they get squeezed a little harder. But we're all trying to play that continuous improvement game. Because if there's nothing else that I've learned, not just in my almost 40-year career, but having been in business for myself for the last year and a half to 2 years, is the barbarians are always at the gate, folks. They're always coming. Okay. If you don't remember that movie, please watch it again. The barbarians that always have to get, and it could be your supplier, it could be some of your more difficult customers, it could be something out of left field. But if you're not constantly getting better, I can tell you that somebody is going to eat your lunch. Okay, because somebody is. And Alvaro, I'm sure you have stories of people gobbling up other companies that just stood still because they thought they were good enough.
It happens every single day. Every single day, companies are getting down or takeovers. I had to participate in every 2 years, in my experience. There was some great cataclysmical event, a takeover, a split, because the business is always needing a competitive advantage. The same that happens to us in the plants, it's happening to the CEOs.
Yes.
They go to Wall Street. The stock goes down if they don't show the next year they are going to improve. And improve is continuous improvement. They need to launch new products. They need to launch line extensions. They need to show that they are going to save costs. And they need to produce in a different way, more effective way. So for sure you have listened to your CEOs many times saying, I need my supply chain to be my competitive advantage. That comes as continuous improvement. And that's on the business side. On the people side, is the same. No?
Right.
Once you spend 1 year doing the same and the same and the same, it becomes boring. You don't want to go to the plant. No? You want new stuff. You want to learn new things. So the next year, guys, we are going to take the line from here to here. And for that, we need to train ourselves in this. We need to learn better on consumers. We need to learn better in these materials, new ways to do things. And then the brain continues to work. The people is competitive. We in the plants, we love competition, don't we?
Yep.
And our operators, they compete even among each other in the lines. So if we can channel that competition into continuous improvement, is win-win-win, is a game changer.
The competition happens, right? How many times you walk into a break area and you get the folks from first shift kind of talking to the folks from second shift, and it's like, hey, we hit a record today. Like, you guys going to show up for work one of these days? I mean, the ribbing that goes on is actually pretty cool. And then I think, in your context, I was thinking about a company like NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA has gone through the roof, right? Their valuation insane. I think it's gotten trimmed back, but I'm thinking that CEO has got to be really, really thrilled. You imagine what his compensation has done. But then comes next year, and that's your base, baby. How are you going to do that again, right? Well, the answer is, frankly, you can't, right? But how do you manage the expectations going forward? Because it's not forever. You can't have double-digit growth in somewhat, mature markets for 10 years. It's just there's too much competition.
Yeah, think about IBM or Microsoft. GE. Microsoft was at the top, and then it lost completely all their appeal. Their business disappeared.
Yes,
it was not computers anymore. No, they need to reinvent themselves. Now they are again back on the peak. The same IBM, they had to change completely the focus of their business.
The business they were in. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about, you may remember this. You remember Tom Peters in Search of Excellence?
Yes.
Okay. I ate that book up. Of course, Procter & Gamble was in there. So I was like, that's right. I work for one of those companies, right?
Yes.
And and P&G continues to be a phenomenal company, right? But you go back and you look at those companies that he modeled, right? And that he called out, and you look at, the other one was the top 100 companies to work for in America. That was about the same time. And you go, I haven't done this, but I'm going to go back and see how many of those companies are still considered that, or even who they were. I bet you it's a scary number.
who is the magnificent seven? Not of these companies existed in the list or were there before 2010.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So continuous improvement is important in the plant. It's important for the people. It's important for the business, and is the way to take us into the next frontier every year.
Yep. And if you don't think adaptation is important, ask the dinosaurs how it worked out for them.
Yes. That's a great way to finish the topic, to end the topic, and to do a little bit of a wrap up. I would say what we have been talking, operational excellence, etc. Once you put the base, you need to have all the pillars the same, and you need to be able to put the roof. And the roof is exactly what we have been talking. Great KPIs, competitive advantage, benefits for everyone in the supply chain, in the end supply chain, starting in the operators, finishing in the business. And that's the journey. It's a journey. It takes long. So you need to be patient. You need to pace yourself. It requires expertise. So bring some expertise from outside and take the journey, learn every year and take it to the next level. Ed?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? You make it fun. The great thing about all these things we're telling you about, AM, PM, Alvaro, I thought you phrased it very well. Everybody wins, right? Everybody gets upskilled. The operator learns more about his or her piece of equipment. Maybe starts performing maintenance, level 1 maintenance tasks. That gets a foot in the door if they want to be a maintenance technician. The maintenance person is upskilling themselves, not just fixing what's broken, but looking at predictive maintenance systems and looking at, a way to design our failures. So everybody wins. And that makes it a lot more fun to be in manufacturing. So,
and remember, the slave is the machine, not us.
That's right. That's right. You got that one right.
Great. So take us home, Ed.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Manufacturing Meetup. And at some point in time, we got to get some swag, Manufacturing Meetup buddies or something. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe. Like us if you're watching us on YouTube, leave us a review, and just share with your friends, right? We need more Manufacturing Meetups buddies to join this show. So, Alvaro?
And guys, we need you to join the conversation. We would love to have you guys join the conversation. Email us at mmu@augury.com. Find us on the endpoint. You can leave us comments. You can let us know what you think. Give us your takes. Send us jokes. We'll bring those to the show and do a little competition. We have been talking about competition and continuous improvement. And you'll see those links at the bottom of the screen. And see you next time.
Take care, buddies.